Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. If we could, do the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
The motion to adopt tonight's agenda, January 22nd.
Second.
You second it? Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of 1/15/24 and 1/15/24 as special budget meeting? Seated at 1:15.
Full second.
The second, any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Road report.
Evening. So we had a kind of an emergency culvert we had to replace on Fennel Hollow Road. We kept getting holes in the road around the first one developed around the inlet side, which would be the northbound lane. And then within less than a week, one developed on the southbound lane, closer to the passenger side. And basically the bottom of the culvert was non-existent. So with all that rain that we had around the time that this happened, it just kept undermining, washing all the debris, all the material out from what would be underneath the culvert and creating a void space. So the ground material was just going out and around and sinking down and just eroding away. So we kind of didn't really want to do it, but it had to be done so that somebody didn't lose a car or something in there.
Where was this, did you say?
Fennel Hollow Road. It was 2 lengths of 4-foot culvert, so it was pretty good size, really. But we got that over and done with and back in good shape. We've been plowing, salting, and sanding like crazy. We got all of the town's fire extinguishers on all the town properties or the buildings so that the town owns taken care of beginning of January. And we ran some scrap from the transfer station the end of last week. And we also got United
Reefer?
Huh?
United Reefer?
United Reefer.
Oh, I thought maybe you said you did scrap up there.
We did scrap up there, but Dan had a problem with the backhoe up there, so we had to call United. Yes, United Ag Turf, John Deere dealership. Thank you.
Yeah.
To get them up there and get the backhoe fixed. So they put a new block heater in it, drained out all the coolant, put a new block heater in it, put the coolant back in, and they found that the transmission oil was low to non-existent in the backhoe. So they had to do that, and I think it's in pretty good shape now. So I don't really have a whole lot else because we've just been doing our regular winter operations, and sanding and salting. I did ask Paul if we could consider next year at the soonest. We'll finish up this year as we normally do. I did ask Paul about switching to this clear lane, which the village DPW uses. It's got a corrosion inhibitor in it. It's salt with chloride added in and a corrosion inhibitor added into it. So you can actually spread it. You can pre-treat the roads with it because it actually sticks together a little bit better. So you don't lose your salt all over the roadway. Salt is really only effective in a larger mass. It does cost a little bit more, but it takes a lot less of it to work as well. And if anybody saw 140 after last week's storm, for about 2 to 3 days after, 140 still looked kind of iffy in some spots. That's due to low temperatures. Regular salt doesn't work much below 15 degrees, especially without sunlight, to get on it and activate it. But the clear lane does work a lot better.
What does it go down to?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've got it in here.
Can you save us one of these or can you make a copy?
Yeah, I just printed one off so that you could, take a look around. It says below 15, customer defining clear lane, enhanced de-icer, continues melting when temps reach below 0. Alan can tell you a little bit about it.
It's only for manual vehicles, obviously, right?
Correct, it's only on asphalt roads.
We've just been 3 years in the village, and the biggest thing is to use less of it, and the temperature differential, like 0, we were still getting some melting on it from the last storm, which was helpful.
So even though it is more expensive per ton, the fact that you use less of it and it's far more effective than plain rock salt, I think we would actually be doing ourselves to justice by making the switch, to be quite honest with you.
Do we need to increase anything in the budget for that?
You pre-order, can you like pick it up when they deliver to you, deliver it to us to save that?
It would be the same way that we order it now. We're good for like 2 to 3 storms, and then I have to call
How
and
much
get
more?
an added delivery. So they estimated us, Spirit estimated us to use 525 tons of rock salt for this winter. That's what their computer program shows, whatever their estimate off of our past usage. At 525 tons, it would be a $5,000 difference.
Can I ask how many truckloads, I'm trying to visualize what that looks like to the big truck, how many truckloads is that?
I don't even know, because we can't hold enough in the salt shed to get us through a whole winter. We go through, like I said, maybe 2 to 3 storms, and I have to call and get another triaxle or another dump trailer delivery worth. So.
Do we need to incorporate that into our budget?
I mean, we up the budget, for salt, $2,000. I think you're gonna find, if you use it correctly, you're gonna use less of it than what you use for the regular salt. So
it will work.
I'd say we can probably go with the number now that we've included in the budget.
Okay, good.
You agree with that, Alan, since you use it?
Yeah, I don't, estimated paper, you're gonna spend 5,000 more, but because you use less, I don't think it's much.
Yeah, the difference,
Margin.
it almost turns into a status quo.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think you'll find, at first maybe we'll be putting down a little too much, because we have pre-marked spots on our trucks where our chutes are adjusted for sand, salt, whatever we're spreading on the road. So at first we'll have to play with it a little bit until we can figure out, this is
you'll
an
have
excessive amount, or this is not quite enough. But it won't take but a couple of storms to get that fine tuned and figured out. So.
Okay. That way people ask us, we'll.
Yeah, and that was another thing why I kind of wanted to mention it, because everybody sees us putting down white salt now. If we do make the change, it's going to have that, I don't know, tealish kind of color to it.
Teal green is also nice, so you can see it white on white for the snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless anybody has any questions for me, we really have nothing else to
You have a question?
speak of.
Just wanted to comment, I really like the idea of the corrosion the less corrosion part of my vehicle, so thank you.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, maybe town people would appreciate that. I know if that stuff does actually hold up better, which it says it does, and the reviews say that it does as well, I think we'll find that we like it for our equipment better as well.
Yeah,
So,
good. All right, anybody have any questions?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
So, guys working up on Ames Hollow Christmas week? I know you weren't at the last meeting, so I couldn't ask that. Was there a lot of work done on Ames Hollow?
oh, we did do some work on Ames Hollow, yes. One of the rainstorms, we had pretty significant damage up there to the roadway. Probably about 500-foot stretch, and then we had another couple of spots where it was just spotty, where the rain had gone down into the road and did some damage. As far as the date, off the top of my head, I can't tell you what the date was on that.
It was before New Year's, I know
Yeah,
that.
oh, it definitely was. It was before we had any amount of snowfall on the ground, that's for sure. But yeah, we did have some damage up there, so we spent a couple days. I think we did have about 2 days into it, and we got that back to a reasonable roadway for wintertime for a class 4 no winter maintenance road. So
You okay with that?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions? Joel? Okay,
Thank you, crew. I do a good job.
we'll do.
community development.
Okay. So we only have two things tonight. The first is a little bit of a bummer news. So we did not get the Borac application for the Cones Point Country Store, which is really, really sad. The project was actually came together really quickly with a lot of help from many different people in the community, businesses and the library, and the highway crew went out and did some site investigation and reclaimed. So that is a bit of a disappointment, but next steps are I'm working with the business owner to identify where we can take it from here if we decide to phase the project, and looking for some opportunities for funding for any elements of it. But that's where that stands right now. Yes.
Yearly, that we apply for next year? Or
It's
is it-
every 2 years is the fund that comes through. So this Borac application, I know, is really competitive. And the awards haven't been made, but this particular application is not going to proceed further through the review process.
Did they give you ideas on why, or just say no?
They did, they gave me some information on why, but until I, am able to talk a little bit further with Nicole about what she wants to do next and talk with some of the other project partners, we had the state, FPR for state parks was, involved in the project, and I talked with them about it, as well as the Lakeside Catholic Association and some other folks. So I need to talk with them first about what tack to take from here.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah, that would have been a great project for.
Yeah, for everybody.
The other thing I want to share tonight, I've been a little behind on economic reports for the select board, so I have on the screen the third quarter 2023 report. So during the third quarter of 2023, we had two businesses that opened, the Cones Point General Store, Rustic Roll and Rooster at Cones Point General Store, and then the Rustic Rooster Property Services, which is located on Main Street. It's a home-based business. Business that closed, the East Poultney General Store, closed in Q3 of last year. The two businesses had successional ownerships, Williams Hardware to Noble Ace Hardware, and the Hermit Hill Bookstore to Laureate Fine Books. So the sales and use tax receipts for this report are based on the previous quarter of 2023. The gross receipts for Poultney's businesses were $15,065,033, which is up 13% from the previous annual receipts, which for this report I'm using comparisons of the previous year, which were $13,364,635. There were 45 gross count businesses that comprise those receipts, which was down 2 from quarter 1 of 2022. So to me, this is 45 businesses are reporting more sales and use receipts than previous. So their business is doing better during those quarters. The meals and rooms tax receipts are unavailable from the state right now. and they have been for a little while because the number of establishments in Poultney that report that tax have dropped to below 10. And when that happens, the state doesn't provide or to keep it to keep it not minimized, but to keep it private. So that's the report for the next meeting. I will have a Q4 report if all of the tax information is available from the state. And I think that's it.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, happy to take any questions if anyone has them.
Does anyone have any questions for Sarah?
Sarah, you're getting all those figures from the state based on what those businesses are reporting and paying, right?
Yep, it's updated. Vermont Department of Taxes has all sorts of tax data. So, yeah.
How are we coming with the merger?
The merger grants, Paul accepted the grant award from the state. The RFP is needs to be developed and issued next. I sent to the select board just this afternoon the work plan that was written for the merger application, just as an overview of what we will be doing and for that particular grant, and the ballot measures from last town meeting day that say exactly what the merger study or what the town is intending to do in forming a committee. So the next steps would be to establish a plan to form that committee, which we haven't really talked about, but I think, that should come from the select board. I think that's the way the ballot measure was written, with some help from Paul and I as needed. Whether or not you want to solicit letters of interest or make appointments, or we need to develop a steering committee.
When does everything have to be in for the town for voting? Like how everything for the town book, that we have to, well, when's the deadline? 29th of January?
I have to submit that to the printer this Friday.
This Friday.
Mhm.
So after this Friday's over, in February, either our first or second meeting in February, let's get to work on that so that we can talk about it as a select board. Maybe we'll have to have the village board, we'll have to meet together sometime, either the first or second meeting that we have in February. Can be on a Monday night, one of our select board meetings, and see if we can set a committee with that. Maybe the second week in February, well, that's getting close to the vote, isn't it?
The informational meeting
The
is
informational meeting.
the first Monday in March. which
Yeah, I
is
won't
March.
be here for that. Can we set it for February 12th?
March 4th.
Try and work on the village to meet with us here and get it so that it's out in the public. So if people want to Zoom and be on that committee, we'll have to set parameters, like how many, because if you get 14 people, you're never going to get anything accomplished. You know what I'm saying? That's not a number to stick by. You probably could, but not like 30 people or 50 people, because you're just not going to keep it so that we can actually do some work. Select board members can be on it, or they don't have to be on it. Same thing as the village. But let's see if we can get a committee on the 12th of February, at least start that, get that together.
Is there guidelines on how many they suggest, Sarah?
No, there's not. But I think ideally with the consultant, what you would want to do is have your committee pulled together before you bring in the consultant, because
Yeah, that's the first step. We'll
Yeah.
make that committee.
I think February 26th, because my next village meeting is February 15th. So I'd like to have the conversation with the village board.
Before,
Yes.
Makes sense, yeah.
can we is the 26th of February too close to town meeting night?
I don't think so.
Can we try and set it for the 26th of February? I'm gone the 28th of February, won't be back until March.
It's just a set of meeting now.
It's just a meeting to see and talk about how we want to set up the committee.
So it would be a joint meeting with the trustees?
Mm-hmm. And that'll take place at this select board meeting. And if people are interested in it, they should listen. Either come or listen. Let's try and set it for that, okay, you guys? We'll get this rolling. Okay? Anything else? Sorry, didn't mean to drop the hammer on you, but
No, it's good.
we'll get it rolling.
Yeah.
I know he's been really crazy lately with, it's a time of year budget and everything from every part of town has got to get into the town report. It's a hard time. All right, that it? Any questions, Sarah?
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Manager's report?
So, before I give the floor to Dan Williams, he wants to report about, the transfer station. Also, Nick Stark has to be put on the agenda to discuss some RRPC, matters, so.
We can do that under Transact, any other lawful business. We'll just, that's right after this, we can get stuff.
Dan?
All right. This year we had, between the garbage, the zero sort, the furniture box, the demo box, and the metal box, they got pulled a total of 234 times. That is 5 less than last year. The zero sort, we pulled it 89 times. The garbage, 88. The furniture, 24. The demolition construction box, 25 times. And the metal box, 8 times. But we also think the town boys did it 3 times last year with their own trucks, so that would add 3 on it otherwise. We're down on garbage and zero sort from the previous years, but up on furniture and demo. So we're running pretty close again. You guys notice we have 2 new blue book boxes sitting up the dump. It's a free program that we got us hooked up into. It's working real well. We've had 3 boxes filled so far, and we are working on number 4 and 5 now. Each box contains about 4,000 books when they come together. So that's a whole bunch that doesn't go into the furniture bin. So those are working really well. The tires, you won't see any tires outside anymore because between, I don't know what, November and now, we have filled 2 40-yard boxes, and I have hand stacked 3 30-yard boxes full, and that finished the tires. We are going to move the box in front of the office where they put the new fill in this year, so we can keep a better eye so people aren't going down there and just dumping tires off without us seeing them. Food scraps. You know, we pay, what I hear, $50 a piece for every one of them buckets of food scraps that we fill. We fill anywhere from 7 to 9 a week at $50 a piece. The elementary school has the same buckets, same scraps. They pay $35. So on a 9 pull times 15, that's a lot of money difference. When you do that 52 weeks a year, that's a lot of money. And I think we should find out why we're paying 50 and they're paying 35.
Who takes it?
I was gonna say different.
Casella.
So it does.
And the 35 is an actual figure because Kemi Moyer, who pays the bills, told me that. So. And the last thing I have was the bottle drive. We benefited last year 26 different charities, which include schools and churches and cheerleaders and sports programs. Personal funding for some people that really needed it. They were going through a crisis. And with taking back the bottles and cash donations, last year we brought in $20,744. Different charities. All of which, none of this is done on company time. My wife and I get on our off days, sort and bag all the bottles and take them back. So, that's it. Any questions?
How are we with Casellas on changing out our dumpsters? Are they there? Because I've been up there a few times. Everything's been getting full and they haven't been up there. We having problems with them?
They're having a manpower.
I think they had some issues with some of their dispatch turnover, so that's my understanding.
Okay. So it has to deal with dispatch.
How often do they pick up the elementary school? It's gotta be pretty close to
Once a week.
every other day, once a week.
Once a week. Same as us.
Where do they house theirs?
Outside the building.
Outside that dump by the gym and there.
Do they get bears in theirs and we don't know?
They haven't come that close to the village.
Interesting.
Okay.
Are all dumpsters the same size, 30 yards, or?
Yeah.
For all the
Furniture and people brushing, those are pretty yards.
recycle and garbage the same?
Yeah.
So they're about equal.
Yep, we ran, 89 to 88. Last year, I think we ran right together, like 93 each, so.
Okay.
Yes, we did. We ran 93 each last year, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Who's playing tonight?
I'll pull the girls.
For the girls?
Yeah, they're playing Proctor, aren't they?
No river.
Oh, Mill River, right. Mill River. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. That's the first time I've missed doing the clock this year. No, this is scheduled.
Yeah, oh, good for you.
You got anything else, Paul?
Not at the moment, no. We did, I just gave you a copy. Mark, you didn't get a copy of it, but we received a letter from the Poultney food shelf. Apparently in response to the conversation the board had last week about some of the concerns the board had. So we'll let you folks.
Want to touch on that?
Sure. It was brought to our attention, they did bring us in, well, I should read about it, but it brought to our attention, they did say that they were concerned, didn't want us discussing their information. We have a couple things we're gonna look into as a select board. It also says apparently regarding the status, an application has been reinstated, has been filed. I don't have any date, but in the event that it's not accepted, an application for a new 501c3 will be filed. I don't know when, how, or whatever, but that's good, so hopefully, I don't know if anybody else wants to, that's here, wants to chat about it, but that would be great if they get reinstated. Hopefully they'll let us know. She, Kathy Hudson did leave her, number in an email that, so hopefully, I know I will reach out and give her a call, hopefully go to a board meeting, just so let her know that we support them. It's brought to our attention because we don't really have a lot to do with the food shelf, but when people come to us, as something happening in Poultney, we have an obligation to find out, and our obligation was to find out how can we help support them, because they needed support for this 501c. So that was our obligation, was to do that. So we're hoping that maybe we could find a way to support them, and how can we help them? They're a very important part of Poultney, even though they're in the Stonebridge. How can we help them get that? So hopefully they're on their way. Hopefully they'll let us know that they have it, and they'll be back in business.
Okay. Yeah.
Typically, I wasn't involved, but the center, a couple of years ago lost their status. It was wasn't an easy process to get it back. Same thing with Rotary, actually, in their situation. So it's not a matter of just reapplying. It is a little bit more complicated. So I don't know how complicated. Like I said, I was involved, but I heard the stories.
It's tough to get
Yeah.
it back. It's tough.
There can be penalties. I know that the center had to come up with monies.
Sounds like you're gonna reach out on that question.
She did leave her number. I did talk to another board member. I will reach out to her myself because I would like to go to a board meeting just to see how we can support them. And, I know when Jonas was here, I was a part of that. We did the paperwork to help them. I don't know where it went out or what happened to it, but, I'll reach out and keep you posted.
It's just that we support the food shelf. We're not trying to stick our noses in and run anybody's business. We're just very supportive of it. And when people reach out and ask a select board member, it's kind of our obligation to follow up on if we can, the best we can. And if we can convey it to the public, we will. And that's what we're elected for. It's nothing against the food shelf. We're not trying to do anything. It's just in response to a number of questions from citizens. Before we go on, Nick, we had a little incident at the senior center. Somebody ran around our new track with their snowmobile, and they ripped the new track up and cut it pretty good.
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad. I talked to the sheriff today, great extent. And there's really nothing that we can do about it because it wasn't signed no trespassing. There will be signs put on that property. As I am the president of the senior center, I will get in touch with our director tomorrow after I get out of jury duty.
If we find out who it is, they can still be charged with unlawful.
I am very, very, very upset over this. This is just total disregard for public property. That is taxpayers right there paying for that repair.
Again, you go back to recreational vehicles. They have the owner's written consent. They are not allowed out, doesn't matter if it's public or private. You can't go out there.
I want that person or persons,
There's already cameras.
and I will say this in an open meeting, to the fullest extent of the law. I want them charged if we find them, if we can.
Do you think any of the neighbors there have cameras? We're gonna get.
I have already checked.
The sheriff was here today, so.
I'm very upset over this. That's needless. It's disregard.
It's a big
Yes.
expense.
I don't know. I could find out. I mean, that's Mr. Loomis I could ask. But, anybody
It's gotta be somebody that lives.
has seen anyone on that track, I want them turned into the police. I'm going so far as possibly talking to the board of directors over there. I'd go so far as putting out a $500 reward. I'm pissed.
I don't blame you. When did this happen?
That is Jonas's, that was done for the town of Poultney, just last snowstorm. Okay, I'm ranting and raving, I'm gonna Bruce Fraba and come down. But we will be talking about that. Nick, what have you got? Change of attitude.
All right, I'm coming to you all on behalf of the Rutland Regional Planning Commission tonight. We are just letting everybody in the region know about the 2026 regional plan. I put down a few of these, not enough for everybody, but so this is much like the town plan that the Town of Poultney has, gone through that process. What we're doing is looking at, all the different variables that make up our county and, economic development, demographics, land use, agriculture, forestry, you name it. And it's really an exercise in thinking about where we want the Rutland region to be in not 2026, but it's an 8-year plan, so 2034. And really, it just helps everybody, up and down the chain in terms of determining what are the priorities that the people of the Rutland region want to see focused on. So we've got a number of ways that you can engage with us. Sorry, I'm behind on my slides. We will be hosting community open houses. There'll be a number of those from now through March. We'll also be coming to every town in terms of pop-up events. We'll be coming to Poultney this Friday at the Stone Valley Arts Open Mic Night over at the Bacta campus. And you can come there, provide some input, win some cool little prizes. If you take the survey, actually, you're entered for a chance to win a solo stove. So a nice way to stay warm. But all of this information can be found on rutlandrpc.org/plan 2026. And that QR code right there is a link to the survey. We haven't announced it quite yet, but we're aiming for 1,000 submissions. We're currently around 350. Not bad for a few weeks. So, if you've taken it, but your spouse hasn't taken it, get them to take it. And even your kids, if you want them to take it. We're trying to get as broad of a swath of input as we possibly can. And yeah, again, this is really, if you have things that you really want to see change, if you have things that you really don't want to see change, this is your chance to have your voice heard and really have it spread far and wide. That's about it.
So you're here Friday?
Yes.
I got a basketball game.
Before open mic or after open mic?
We'll be there throughout. So, yeah. And yeah, if you have any questions or you want to come chat, you can always come by the office in Rutland City. We're at 67 Merchants Row. Reach out via email, plan2026@rutlandrpc.org. Or flag me when you see me walking down Main Street.
What time is the event on Friday?
I believe it's at 6. Oh, sorry, we're there to set up at 6:30, but it begins at 7 again.
Right when tip off.
Yes. With you all.
People,
Super. Any questions?
No.
Thank you, Nick.
A
Thanks for
good
that.
roundabout out here be good.
Throw it in there. And there should be some flyers and stuff that the town clerk has already. So if you are interested in getting more information and you weren't able to catch any of this, there are flyers and more information there. So thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Any other lawful select board business?
There was, a couple of things. Someone asked me about what they perceive as zoning violations on certain properties that, I'm working with the town attorney on some outstanding zoning violations that we're getting ready to notice. I have a meeting with someone tomorrow on some alleged violations of the property owner. And there was another one that was brought to my attention today, so in between finishing the town report, I'm working on those things. I did plan on having the warning for this board to sign for this evening, but I need some direction on how the board wants to proceed. The the item that the Poultney Rescue Squad was petitioning to put on the warning. They were unable to meet their statutory obligations as far as the number of signatures that they needed to collect. So I don't know how the board wants to proceed. We can't, the board can't, as I understand the law, the petition failed, quite bluntly. The board does have the option of initiating an article on the warning at by their own volition. And I don't know if the board wants to discuss doing that, or I can't finish the warning that I have, as I stated before, all the materials for the town report, which includes a warning, needs to be submitted to the printer by close of business on Friday. So
they did not get enough signatures on the petition to be legal, is that correct?
Correct.
Well, when is the cutoff date? It's the same, it's the 29th, right?
No.
The cutoff date, as I understand it, from the information provided by the town clerk, was, I think it was this past Thursday.
So they have a different date.
Correct. Yes.
It's not running.
This board has to submit the warning. I think the earliest the warning can be posted is February 2nd or something to that effect. But because of my constraints on when the town report has to be submitted to the publisher, my deadline to submit everything, including the warning, is this Friday. I may be able to, with paying a slight fee to the printer, I may be able to substitute a new warning past this Friday. But I think they have to have the proof back to me by, I think it's February 2nd. So after February 2nd, I could say substitute warning A for warning B. But I'd rather not do that if I don't have to.
So this means in order to put it, it has to go on the ballot separate with a box saying it's gonna be, there's no petition, so it's gonna go on the regular ballot with a check off that people would have to vote yes to.
Well, originally, such as many towns do when they're, many towns have a separate article, a numbered article for every allocation.
Okay.
So originally, with the understanding with the rescue squad, who as early as last Monday said, yeah, we're going to submit the petition. Your ballot, your warning was going to say, here's the budget amount, and then another article was going to include the additional funding for the Poultney Rescue Squad with a notation that amount is not included in the original budget amount. So
Now they'd have to be all lumped together unless we decide to put it on there ourselves.
I mean,
How does that work?
What would happen here, from what I understand, they didn't get enough signatures,
correct.
so their petition now is invalid. If we want to help sub the rescue squad for what they're asking, the board could legally have the petition or have that line item as a separate item in the voting, right?
Correct.
But the board has to initiate it, which could open Pandora's box in the future for some entity that would come in and say, well, you did it for these guys and these guys and these guys. Why can't you do it for us? And we all know how that is. But on the other hand, we're in a bit of a pickle now. It kind of puts the town and the select board in a little bit of a pickle, because that we need the rescue squad. We need this service. I would for this one time, I would say support putting it on the ballot, but that's not a real good way to do this. But I would support putting it on because I just can't see, not trying to really help the rescue squad, but this would be under the pretense that this is the only time we would do this type of a move. Any other time after this, you have to have your ducks in order and it has to be on. Because this is something you're putting on the select board that shouldn't be.
I mean, I should state that the Poultney Rescue Squad, through communications with myself and with Betsy Westcott, the town clerk, knew how many, not as far as how many signatures, but she's advised me, Betsy has advised me that she told them, this is how many signatures you need, and this is the date that you needed, the final date that you can submit it. So I do appreciate that the board has been put in this position that you have to make that decision.
I personally feel we do need to have that on this ballot. And it's gonna be up to the voters, yes or no. But they have to have a chance. That's my personal opinion. I don't know how everybody else feels. How do you feel, Alan?
How exactly does it work if we don't put it on there? What happens to their tax? It disappears. It's absorbed into our regular budget.
The way I understand it is the funding. This is my unmarked copy, so. What we had intended to do, for discussions at our several budget meetings, is we were going to include the last year's funding amount of $42,280 in the article, that includes the general government budget, which includes all the general government allocations. And the rescue squad was going to petition for the $80-some thousand increase on a separate article on the warning.
So 80 wouldn't just get added into our allocation.
I added in, which would come up to $123,000.
I mean,
It would.
It would.
What he proposed earlier was it would be the 80-something thousand additional would be, a separate line item, which at least from my understanding, since I've been the manager, that's what you've done. That traditionally, the select board has said if entity A said I want $50,000, the select board would make them get a petition, and then pose it to the voters. Should entity A receive an allocation of $50,000, and once the voters approved it, it was lumped into the general government budget. But I know of at least one entity, I think they increased their ask from like 300 to 1,300 one year, and they had a separate line item for that additional funding.
Makes sense to do it that way. It's explained better, so it's unfortunate that it falls through.
So how do you feel about it? So we can get this done Friday or not? One way or the other, it really kind of needs to be done Friday, either without them on or with them on.
I would hope, because they were very last Monday saying that they were gonna take care of it and get it done, and they knew what they had to do, but I would hope they show up for town meeting and can explain part of it, because it's really just took everything off them, and now it's putting it all on us. So I think that they need to be at the meeting still, and
Well, I
that's
mean,
why they need that kind of money, and that if people vote, they want people to vote, then they're gonna have to explain that.
the interim director, as you may recall, was here at your last budget meeting last Monday and said that they were prepared to present at the informational meeting in March.
Yeah.
but they also said they were
Petition was gonna be good, yeah.
to file the petition, so.
Yeah, this surprises me, but, I just strongly feel personally we can't turn our backs on the rescue squad. That's my own personal opinion. Again, if we do this, and as a select board, we put it on, the town still has to vote on
I think it's gotta be on there to keep things running smoothly
Yeah.
for the process.
it. You agree? You agree? Mark?
I somewhat agree, but I can't hear Alan see what he's saying.
Alan saying,
I said, I think we need to keep keep the process going by putting it on there just to keep things running smoothly. Even though it's unfortunate they didn't get their signatures.
Yes, yes. So let's do that then.
you agree with that, Mark?
Yes, I would do that for
I
1
need
year.
a motion. I need a
1 year.
motion.
What?
What's that, Mark?
I would agree to it for 1 more year.
Okay,
But I'm looking for clarification on that, only because I think it goes counter to what the board traditionally would do, is if the voters say yes this year, then the board or the formation, whatever the board members are at the time of each informational meeting, usually if the voters say yes once, then it's included in the general government budget the following fiscal year warrant. So when you say for 1 year, just this 1 year, I'm not sure what you're saying.
The increase that they're asking for this year, the allotment can be rolled back to what it would have been without the increase for the following year.
Even if the voters say yes for the increase this year?
I would say yes.
I think that once it's voted on and the voters say yes, then that becomes the line item in the general budget year after year after year. Because if we do that, Mark, then if we increase our highway department, or buy a new vehicle, or
Okay.
increase the fire department, then
Yes.
do we cut back on that allotment every year?
No, you're right. You're right. So do we do it as a standalone 1 year line item?
That's this year. That would be this year. Mark, it would be an increase of
Right.
82,000, something like that.
It's in my other folders on the.
Yeah, we don't have to, but it would be an $80,000+ one line item increase, which would apply to the line item if it's voted on and passed. And the next year we do our budget, it would be a line item of 123,000.
Okay, well, if the rest of you are in agreement with it, I can do that too.
Yep, we are, but we need a motion.
Okay, so I would make a motion to make the one item line item, read it for 1 year for this current year to be added to the budget.
Give them 120 every year after this, is what Mark's saying. So
Yeah, we are.
that's what he's saying.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of money.
That's a good chunk of money. He's saying they're gonna need that every year, $120,000.
Yes, they're going to need that every year after. That's why we're voting on it.
Yeah. Well, if that's the new reality.
So your
It
motion,
would be an additional $81,540 on top of the $42,280
right.
that's already included in the general government budget.
So you're making a motion for that one line item of 81,000?
Yes, I am.
Do I hear a second?
81,540.
81,540. Do I hear a second on that to make it a one line item?
I'll second it. I just really think that one of us need to reach out and make sure that they show up for the town meeting, because I'm very disappointed that they're not here tonight and that they didn't follow through and that we're doing this. We don't have to. And
I mean, maybe someone is here for them. I don't know. Is there anybody on the Zoom or in this room like that in Westby?
Okay, there's a motion and it's been second. Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll put it on the ballot. Let's finish the documents and get them going.
This is a real faith reach here. But we're
Yes, Mark, you're right.
extending a lot of faith in these folks, so hope it pays off.
Yep. Anything else? Oh,
No, not at the moment.
Mark, just so you know, the voters do have a say in that, though. It's not just us making that decision.
Right, yeah.
Right?
yeah, that's to be voted on. Has to be passed.
All right. So I do have just one brief thing on the D&H Rail Council. We're going to put an ad on the Front Porch Forum looking for 1, 2, 3 people in town that want to head up the Poultney branch of the Rail Trail Council. So that will be on Front Porch Forum, and it's going to go to the Rutland, the Poultney Economic Development, as far as the address, and that will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
How many people will sit on the council, Mark?
The town is being asked to put forward one name, but there's more room available, but there's one vote. Poultney gets one voting member. And there's going to be about six or seven voting members on the Rail Trail Council. One from each town, but there is room for other associates. People can join it. People can help out. So it's more than just one person from town. But they're asking us for one person.
Why is it just going to be on the Front Porch Forum?
Well, no, that just came to mind. Because we're not looking to really spend any real money on it at this point. Where else should we do it, Paul?
I mean,
I don't go on Front Porch Forum.
Usually every year, with the exception of this past March organizational meeting, usually the board advertises in the Lakes Region Free Press and or the Rutland Herald, but at your last organizational meeting, I guess I only put the Lakes Region Free Press on there, so for your advertising forum.
Okay, well, we can put an ad in there too. So. Okay, so.
Can I make a suggestion? I think, I don't get the Rutland Herald anymore, Mark, but I think you could probably put in an article under what they call community news, and I don't think the Rutland Herald would charge you for that.
Okay.
You'll see similar notices in there like that. You know, it's more of like an informational thing. But it's in the Rutland Herald. I don't know how often they publish it.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So Paul, what would an ad cost in the Lakes Region Free Press?
I don't know off the top of my head. It depends on how many words, the size of the ad.
Yeah, well, you just put the ad in for the DRB.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. It's a couple $100.
Couple $100. Oh.
Yeah.
That's,
Sorry, I have a question about this. So I'm going to call on Nick because Nick is the program manager for this particular council that's forming. And I think if we advertise it in the Rutland Herald, I guess I'm trying to, this is a regional council. So the
goal is to identify one specific appointee, I guess, for Poultney with some other folks to support it. But if we end up advertising in the Rutland Herald, it could be kind of confusing that it's specific to Poultney because this also affects Paulette and Granville, but Paulette, Castleton, and Nick. Is there anything else that you want to add for, how we might advertise this?
I mean, typically when the select board is seeking to fill a vacancy, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I haven't read the bylaws of the council, but is it the select boards of each particular town that appoints this person on the rail trail council?
That's right. Yeah, the process that we're hoping to, shepherd in is that whoever would be interested in becoming a representative from the municipality and a substitute would come to the select board asking them to appoint them. The other stakeholders that do have a reserved seat on the council are any local or regional chambers of commerce can each appoint a representative. And then VAST as a single entity can appoint a representative. And lastly, any interested stakeholder, be it a private citizen or a organization, can submit to the council itself a request to be appointed as a non-voting member.
Okay, and maybe it presumes that if the town of Poultney is looking for a representative on this board, is it in the bylaws that the person has to be from the town of Poultney?
It doesn't. Interestingly enough, maybe something we'll have to add after we have our first meeting with the appointed members. But I think that's sort of the spirit of the effort is that it would I suppose that would fall upon the judgment of the select board as to whether or not they would feel comfortable voting for someone or appointing someone that's not necessarily a isn't up in town itself.
And are you seeking to have a voting representative from the village of Poultney as well?
No, we're treating each municipality at the we are not. No, we're simply treating Poultney as a single municipal entity.
Why is that?
Honestly, it didn't come up with any of the representatives from Poultney that came to our meetings.
And what do we look for, Nick? I guess I would ask this if it's coming to the select board, if let's say Jonathan came in and says, I want to be on the council, what do we look for qualifications? If we have 5 of them, how do we choose which one we think should be on the council?
I would look at, their past experience in these sorts of things, whether they have a history of, walking the trail, if they know the trail pretty well.
Is there a way that you could just give some ideas to us, the background, if you need something for us to use? I mean, that would be, I could wing it, but I'm thinking there could be a lot of people that come in and say, oh, I do it all the time, I'm so interested. And we're like, okay, and then someone else might say the same thing. So, I mean, what would be,
That'd be a
it's going to be
great
hard
problem.
to choose one person.
Yeah, I honestly think that would be a great problem to have. I don't foresee it, but
Okay.
but I can send you maybe a list of some ideas. But yeah, I would say even just first person to raise their hand honestly might be the way to go with it. Form a line kind of thing. I do also I just remember to Paul's point, the village and the town of Granville, they are also just a single voting entity. So I suppose it's across the municipalities. We're only observing the name of the town itself, I suppose, as opposed to any suburb else.
So is the select board supposed to be saying to come to us for these, or is the council want people to come to the select board?
It'll be a bit of both. So we're going to be making a larger push at the council side to let folks know that this exists and that they can go to their select boards that has to be appointed.
It's not on the board itself to advertise, or the council to advertise to come to the board.
I would encourage any folks who have the desire to go ahead and do that. Like, I think the more that we can get it out there, the better. And you, again, have a bit more control over who you're trying to reach and what qualifications you all deem as a select board would be ideal for someone to represent municipality at these council meetings.
Okay. That answer everybody's question? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Nick.
Before we move on, what's up?
Yeah, I don't get much communication from the sheriff's department, so I don't know if and when they're here. I have no idea. I don't know if you guys are still getting schedules when they're here, when they're not here.
It's been spotty.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got there's nothing new as far as legislatively coming down the pike. This whole to do with dispatching seems to have, like it did 25 years ago when I started, it's right back into La La Land. So it's status quo like it was. I mean, when I started 25 years ago, that was a push. Everybody's got to pay their fair share. And now legislature last year, after they had their summer to put together a plan, legislature said, told DPS no. Getting funded for it, continue.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Dale?
That's just the one biggest piece as far as where it could hit the local jurisdictions.
Yeah. All right. Rutland Regional Planning Commission? Thank you, Dean.
Yeah.
The only update I have, so the last regional commissioners meeting was last week, and the main gist of the meeting was a presentation from Ethan, who's the transportation planner at RPC. So Ethan gave a presentation on the transportation planning initiatives, basically his program area, and a variety of grants, transportation related grants were what stuck in my mind most. And that was the key takeaway. There was an overview. The commissioners have gone to a roundtable type setting rather than it used to be that they would go and give updates from each municipality that was there. But they've gone to a roundtable now with a topic of interest for each meeting, and the development in Killington was discussed by Killington's developer, which was very interesting. It's a very large development. They're just starting to work with their planning commission regarding the development specifically. I'm sure everybody knows about the infrastructure that's been funded to support it, but it was very, very big project in Killington. That's it. There's a TAC meeting that's taking place on Thursday.
Okay. Thank you.
So what meeting?
That's the Transportation Advisory Council.
Thank you.
Actually, while we're on the topic of councils, there are a few council. Ethan is also establishing a bike walk council at the Regional Planning Commission, and I don't have the details on that council yet. But it's worth noting that Poultney, we should be looking for some other folks to serve on some of these councils, not just the Rail Trail Council or the Transportation Advisory Council. Just if there's other people that have interest in these topics, the Regional Planning Commission will be looking for support from its municipalities.
Okay. It's good for outdoor rec. Rail trail and the bike. Really good for outdoor rec. All right, on to public comments and concerns. Anybody have any questions? Harry?
I have a couple of things that actually I brought up during last year's informational meeting. I was wondering if I could just refresh my comments with you folks. I guess it applies more to Paul since he's putting together the annual report. And I did these suggestions to improve transparency and just have additional information for taxpayers. And the first one was, and this again was on the last year's annual report, so it's page 11. It's the employee wage report. I suggested to add a column with the pension amounts paid by the town of Poultney, in addition to the wages and the insurance premiums. And the second one was starting on page 21. And that's the general government proposed budget. And in addition to having the prior year's budget and what's been expended and what's currently proposed, I suggest having a column that has the dollar change, whether it's positive or negative, from the prior year's budgeted, and then the percent change. Because right now, this is what I do when I get this report, is I go through this with my calculator. And I think Paul has the capability of doing it pretty much with the push of a button. So those are my two suggestions for the next, for the year ending June 30th, 2023 annual report. Any questions?
The pension, you want to see what the pensions, what everybody's accrued
Whatever the town
year
pays
to
that
date,
year.
or what we have paid out to past employees for pension?
I think she's looking for the annual pension contributions that the town.
Oh, it goes into the pension fund,
Right,
I think that's what she's asking.
going into the pension fund?
yes.
Oh, okay.
So in other
I
words.
just want to,
Yeah, in other words, the town pays employee insurance. So that is currently listed.
right,
And so what I'm asking for, since Paul clarified last year that the town pays in for pension, also just to include that. It's just another benefit, that's all.
yep. And you want the dollar change and percent change from last year to this year?
Or, let me look on page 21 again. Yes, the percent change from the prior year's budget, and then the dollar amount change.
Okay. See if we can get it in time. We got until Friday. I don't know. We'll see.
Until Friday.
Away Friday night.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Still
thank
waiting
you.
for reports from a bunch of other things, so.
Yes,
I had a couple of clarifying questions and a comment with the rescue squad situation. Am I right in understanding that while the town put out 40,000 and some change out of our budget, that the rescue squad was also receiving almost like a matching fund from state funds, I think it was, so that they actually were receiving about 87,000.
Correct.
I think it's important that the town be aware of that so that the change isn't quite so jarring, because it sounds like the operating budget was actually 80-something thousand last year for them, whereas if we only look at what the town specifically is putting, the taxpayers is putting, people might think it was only 40,000, and I think that's a useful metric.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you were in any of the discussions that the select board had with the rescue squad last year, but the gist of it was the select board said, we don't, because the rescue squad gave some indications of, we don't even know if this is gonna work, even though they said it would. So the select board said, okay, instead of doubling your budget request, which is not what the discussions were the previous year, the select board said, we'll supplement it with the ARPA funds with the understanding that you, the rescue squad, can prove that you're sustainable at that level.
I see.
And they weren't, because now they're asking for triple what they asked for 3 budget seasons ago.
So that maybe leads me past my next question to my comment. May I make a request to the board that we consider Plan B over the course of the next year if we're having this kind of leverage being used against the town by not showing up or by showing unsustainability? And this is as a taxpayer. I'm speaking purely on behalf of myself and probably my wife, but I agree with you, Jeff, that this is, I mean, I don't know how many Ubers get out here, but I don't think using them as an ambulance service is a viable option. And as far as I know, and I don't know much, but as far as I know, that's our option for getting people that need to get to the hospital. And that is like not quite as bad as losing police when you need them, but it's right in the same ballpark. So I don't like the fact that we're being put into a position where a person's personal skills is reflecting, and I'm speaking specifically of the approach that I've seen brought to this very serious matter by representatives of the squad. No disrespect intended. I've not met any of you. I don't mean anything personally. This is just town business. If that is what we have to depend on for people that need minutes of care, like minutes matter, I just would request that the board look at what other viable options we have, or maybe just explain to the town the nature of our situation so that we understand how we're getting leverage, as opposed to feeling like everybody's of perfectly good faith and they're having to make a decision under that framework. This is not a good situation that we've been put into, as I understand it, and my understanding is probably incomplete. And so my request is to the board, can we just over the next year look at how we can, at the minimum, put some conditions on the efforts that you guys are clearly giving to them and the heat that you're about to take? Because, you know, if y'all have to stand up and explain it, then where are they going to, where's the town going to direct its feelings about the increase in taxes? So I'm rambling, but I'm just asking that over the next year, maybe we look at what other options we have. We recognize that we don't have any, and then, you know, focus efforts on making this better, because it seems like a lot of unnecessarily hard work for you guys. And that's on the behalf of the taxpayer. I do not require comment on that. That was just a request that I wanted to put out there. You guys
That's why we did ask them to come, because I want them to know, like, why you should vote yes and what happens if you don't vote yes. So we said the last meeting, like, you need to explain that so people know if they choose not to because of the taxes, what's going to happen to your service? Where is it going to come from? Granville, Fairhaven, what's going to happen? So that's why we did ask them, could you please hand out a flyer or something and let people know? Because those are questions people are going to have, same questions you have.
This is the nature of my question, because I was planning on standing up and speaking if that's such a thing that happens at town.
Oh, yeah.
Because people, I don't think when you should see a number go up like that, I don't see most people stopping to ask questions. It's just like, what? And that people react, and it's hard out there, and that reaction financially, but some of the most financially strapped are the ones that are going to need somebody to get into the hospital. I think it's if that's the case, if that's where we find ourselves, at least for this year, as you have been trying to do, but there's not a whole lot of people on Zoom, get the word out. But then here in this public forum where people are going to decide for the next year whether they're going to have to depend on their neighbors to get into the hospital, that's not a fair position for anybody but the rescue squad to be in, and that's their job. And were it my job, I'd be happy to do it, but as a citizen, I'm ready. Thank you for the time.
Yep. Yes, you can speak.
Alan, you were going to say something?
Ellen?
That was just the same thing Cheryl said. That's why we're putting some of the burden on them by asking them to come to the informational meeting and make their own case to their viability.
You're meeting them all the way over on their side, and that's not fair. It's supposed to be in the middle.
Yeah, that's part of the reason we're asking them to make their own case.
And if they don't, you want to always remember.
Yeah.
It's up to the voters.
For sure. I think you guys are doing a great job.
But I just can't see for the benefit of, that's why we're here, is to help everybody that votes or lives in the town of Poultney. And that I just can't say, I can't find myself personally saying, this isn't going on because they didn't get their
Just like
their signatures for the better of Poultney, the town of Poultney and all the citizens, I feel it has to be. It has to get voted.
They voted y'all in because y'all have better information. And y'all are acting on that.
And that will have them, with that on there, they'll have to explain why. But it's for the better of the whole community and not just a personal, gosh darn it, you didn't get your signatures, you know. Can't do that. Okay, any other comments or concerns? You got one?
Yeah. When you brought up the merger thing again, it kind of got the old business wheels going. Highway garage location or replacement. Wondering if maybe I wasn't here for the last meeting, so if I missed anything on that, or if we're going anywhere new with that, or I started out pretty hot and heavy about getting information for the new garage, and it's just kind of sat idle for a little while. It also got me thinking too this morning, because when we went out for the last storm over the weekend, we couldn't keep the loader running. We kept gelling up. We have a block heater, and a block heater works great. That gets it started, but if you have gelled fuel, the block heater does you no good. So without being able to keep the building and the fuel, the whole machine in a warm area, that's a problem. And we also spent quite a bit of time trying to get the excavator going yesterday, and then again for 2 hours this morning. So there's just kind of some things that we need to incorporate into that once we get to that phase. But for now, just asking where we think we're at with that.
Still on the top.
It's still
You don't
on
trust me? He says it's serious. He looks at you like, oh.
I'm not trying to put the pressure on anyone in specific. I just want to keep this, we went hot and heavy, and then we just kind of.
Never been forgotten.
So we're waiting on the reports from the MERP assessments to help guide some of the next steps, I think, for the town's facilities. That will help us a little bit. And I'm also planning to come back to the board within the next few weeks with some action items on the town garage, what that looks like and what shape it will take. I'm not quite sure yet, but that after we get this RFP for the merger out and start to move that along, that's the next thing.
Okay.
So Joe, I have a question for Joe. Do you add the thinner to your fuel? Do you add kerosene to it?
Yeah, the fuel is rated. The fuel is rated for 40 or 60 degrees below zero, is what I was told by Champlain Valley Fuels. I can't guarantee that but either of those tanks had a pure load of that cold rated fuel, because we only got that in late December delivered to our tanks. We got 4,000 gallons in the ground, and when you mix it, you don't have that full 40-60 kerosene to diesel cut. You're now kind of partially diluted. So, but yeah, we had diesel 911 right in. I mean, we take it. I plugged in the backhoe, I plugged in the loader. I can't plug in the grader. I can't plug every single thing in, but everything that we absolutely know that we will need is. We do the best we can with it. So
it sounds like you need some white kerosene delivered quickly.
Some what?
Some of the good kerosene.
Oh, yeah.
That is really the best way of dealing with that. Because I did it for 35 years and I never froze up with the.
Yeah, this is my first year here since I've worked for the highway department that we've actually had a problem with the loader gelling up too. But we did treat it the way we always have. I don't know. Just a bad batch of fuel, or just, I don't know. Anyways.
Okay.
Another thing I wanted to mention real quick. I didn't really want to say this during my report because I think I'm kind of going out of my position with it. But we're required to have one person per working crew in the highway department that is CPR, first aid, AED certified, whatever. So I was going to set that up for any of the guys on our crew that want to get those certifications. And then I was thinking, when I schedule this, maybe anybody else that's a town employee at any of the other town buildings or whatever might want to do it too. So I just kind of thought now would be a good time
So now we just had it at the senior
to,
center.
I think they all should have it, all you guys, not just one. I think they all should have it.
I agree.
Just because of where you are, and you get one person doing it, because many come in. I know the schools, that's what we do, so you check with the captain.
Yeah, we have those storms in the wind and everything.
That has to be done. You gotta be certified by the Red Cross.
Right, I know, we get it at school all the time for
Yeah.
working, so I'm just saying, but they can do one meeting and then
So,
update it.
so I did find out some of the information other than numbers as far as, you know, how many town employees want to actually do it. Katie Gino from Poultney Rescue Squad is a certified instructor. She charges $45 per person. The American Heart Association charges $17 for your certificate. And it's 4 to 4.5 hours long. So, you know, it's just a,
You might be able to do something. She does it for the rec too. They meet at the rescue.
That's something that should be set up.
Yeah, for the rec training. And it would be good, put it out to all the employees, see whoever wants
I
to go
just
for
thought
it.
maybe, you know, we'd offer it up to.
I think all the guys should have it though.
I know in the past, Vermont Local Roads has put on training for that too. I don't know if they have anything scheduled
Yeah, I
recently.
haven't seen anything.
Check with Aaron too. I bet they
Yeah,
do
but
something at
they'll
the,
train you, but training and getting a certification is different because you actually get certified with the American Red Cross.
you don't
Yeah,
have to
that's
have,
myself
everybody
and
doesn't
my
have to get
employees
certified. You just
certified.
get trained, yeah.
It's for it.
Yeah, it depends on what you want. If
It's
you
a
want the
2-year.
certification, it's a
good for
2-year
2
with the
years through
American
the
Red
American
Cross.
Heart Association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it should be,
Just throwing it out there.
yep,
Good idea.
we should set it up. Anything else?
It should be. We do.
Nobody else? For public comments and concerns? Do I hear a motion to approve the board orders?
So I'm
Second, any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Do we need executive session tonight?
We were gonna go into executive session to discuss some contractual matters. I don't know, Mark, do you want to stay on the Zoom and do that, or you want to wait till you're
You
here?
want to wait until you're here in person?
I just soon get it going now.
Okay, we can go into executive session for contractual matters. Thank you, everyone. And now we're gonna,
One VSA section 313 take a motion
No,
as board
because-
finds that FEMA for general public knowledge clearly places order of person involved and in certain matters located in contract discussed in 5% section. This one VSA section 313
second. All in favor? Right, we're in executive session.